Coming up on today's show,
Arsenal, if they want to go win the league, I think they're going to need to add a little bit more going forward.
I get that they're not going to be perfect. They're in a really strong position, and I still think that they'll go ahead and do it.
I think Man City are more equipped to win the Premier League because they can open up the doors.
do you think football is as good to watch now?
Football has gone backwards for the spectacle and the entertainment of everything.
Certainly not as high standard football this year than what we saw last year from a lot of the clubs.
Bruno Fernandes, one of the players of the season so far.
I think he's the player of the season.
If he did say vamos, the game's gone.
I think I'd higher XG. Did I just say XG?
He just said XG.
I'd sooner say vamos. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. We've had another interesting weekend of Premier League football and big games at the top of the table and the bottom of the table. Both of you were working yesterday. Alan, I watched you on Match of the Day.
Yep.
And Micah, I saw you. You were in the studio though, weren't you, covering this Leeds City game?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Saturday night football.
Yeah.
Lovely.
You prefer that, don't you? So you get off a bit earlier and not so many hours, and you've got Sunday off all day.
I
Sunday
love
off.
that going in live game.
Yeah.
A bite to eat after home. Oh, it's fantastic.
I watched a hell of a lot of football this weekend, to be honest.
That's not a bad thing.
No, I love it. It's nice sitting at home as well. You can have a glass of wine and you can enjoy it. And saw some good games. Watched even saw Barca as well. Didn't they? Lamine Yamal hat-trick was unbelievable. One of the goals in particular. That was, and then some interesting games in the Premier League as well that we've had to enjoy. And quite a good weekend of. I don't know about you, Micah and Alan, but fantasy football, I've quite well again.
Where are we? What are we up to?
Well, you know the Rest is Football team. I've got it. Harry's just handing it over here. So the Rest is Football in terms of the whole world, where there are about, I think, 12 million people play the Premier League game. We were in the top 6,000. And that was before getting all the numbers for this weekend. And it's been a very, very, very good weekend. So I would think we'll probably be in the top 4,000 in the world.
Out of 12 million?
Out of 12 million. And in the Rest is Football League, in which we've got about 50,000 of you that have joined us in that, we are in the top 50 as well. Imagine if the Rest is Football won the Rest is Football League.
We can have our own signed top.
No, what we can do, we'll get, I don't know, if there's 50,000, we'll get 49,999 of you to sign us a shirt. And,
Wow. Doing well then. You've obviously been listening to me, or not.
Well, I think we've left it to Harry, to be perfectly honest. They're all his teams. But fun weekend on that sense. There's lots of football to discuss, which we'll do in a moment. This episode is brought to you by Fuse Energy. No one likes a panic buy on deadline day. The smart teams do their business early, not relying on dodgy fax machines. Are they still a thing? Rushed medicals or watching a Plan B target become a Plan C.
The best deals are the calm ones, when you've still got options on the table.
Switching to Fuse Energy is one of those great deals. On average, customers save around £200 on their energy bills, and it only takes 3 minutes to switch. You get 24/7 customer support. You see exactly what you're using day by day, all in one app, and play a part in Fuse's mission to deliver energy that keeps getting cheaper for everyone.
And it doesn't stop there. Switch to Fuse Energy and you could have your question answered on the show.
Sign up to Fuse Energy at fuseenergy.com/football. Use the referral code FOOTBALL. And you could also win a 1990 England shirt signed by the three of us at The Rest is Football. Right, the first bite delivered by Uber Eats, well, has to be the title race. There are other games perhaps with more goals, but we'll come to those as well, of course. But I watched both games, obviously, and they were both fairly tense, but both teams have won. But Arsenal, once again, very nervously. Micah?
Arsenal, it's strange watching them because they're top of the league. You would say defensively, They know exactly what they're doing. Robust in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Up front, they're not free-flowing.
Lacking in creativity.
They're just lacking something, a little bit. And Saka does all the right things. His touch is good. He makes the right decisions. He plays the right passes. But there seems to be a lack of chemistry up front when needed. And then they've become so reliant on set pieces. Mm. And I remember you posed a question a couple of weeks ago. It might be a couple of months ago now, where can they carry on? And at this rate, yes, they can, because they're still doing it. Off evidence, no one knows how to stop them. But in a game where someone's really good at marking them and organised on set pieces, they've got to find another way to win against a top team. I'm not talking about... So Chelsea today, I thought they was outstanding. I thought they defended well. I thought they was really well organised. I thought the sending off and that'll change the game. But watching Arsenal, they're not free-flowing, but they're still top of the league. So it's one of them. Is it glass half full or glass half empty? And right now, you have to say it's glass half full because they're getting over the line. I did the City Leeds game, and we'll go to them a bit later. And at this point in the season, it is just about getting over the line. So Arsenal fans probably won't care. It was about the victory. They got the victory. They extend that lead to 5 points. But watching the game, forget the stats and everything now, you're watching it and the ball goes up to Gyökeres, it comes back. And then Trossard finds it hard to get into the game. Martinelli comes and he's something different. Declan Rice, he's trying to get forward, but he's more concerned is making sure the middle of the park is secure. So for me, it's just the two defensively minded, and if they want to go win the league, I think they're going to need to add a little bit more going forward.
Yeah, I would perhaps go along with that, but I'd much prefer, obviously, to still be in their position. They win every game, they win it, as City, I guess. But I'm not too concerned with that. I just think the bigger picture is they find a way. They have found a way today. They weren't brilliant, but the set pieces have done it for it again, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they're gonna be nervy. They're gonna be edgy because of the pressure that they're under. They're human, you know. I've been there myself, and it's a huge ask, and it is tough mentally and physically. It drains you because I don't care who or what you are, wherever you are, and it's worse now than it was back in the 90s when we won it for the first time at Blackburn because of the noise around social media and whatever. We didn't really have that. And it was still very tough then. So I get that they're not going to be perfect, but they're in a really strong position. And I still think that they'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah, they're obviously in a very strong position. I would say, though, I mean, Arsenal are brilliant at set pieces, particularly corners. But I do feel like so are most of the teams in the league now. They're also becoming very good at it, as were Chelsea in this game. A real threat from corners. Everyone's delivery seems to be getting better. There are a lot of teams in the Premier League that are good at that. I mean, I watched like so many games, and I watched Match of the Day as well this morning, and there were a lot of goals scored this weekend. I think it was something like 36, of which nearly all of them were either from corners or deflections. Not all of them, but a lot of the goals this weekend. So, I mean, City played some good stuff. They always do, but even they found it very difficult to get over the line. So, yeah, I think Arsenal have had that advantage of being better than everyone else. But I think a lot of people are catching up, but they're still scoring lots of goals from set pieces. And you can't knock it. And if you keep winning, but can they rely on that down the closing stretch? That's the big question. And with City at their heels, who know how to win these things, they know how to do it. You know, Pep's in charge. Pep, you know, I don't think he deliberately plays mind games, but there was a lovely question last week when someone in one of his press conferences said to him, you know, you were a young manager once, and first time you were trying to win a title, and now Arteta's in that situation. What would you say to him? And it was quick as a flash. He just said, I'm not going to give Mikel any advice. It's not my position to do that. And you just thought, but he keeps saying, doesn't he? Oh, there's a lot of the season left yet, and he's kind of much more in control. But that's because he has done it on numerous occasions. So that side of it is an advantage for City. But at least we've got the title race.
Yeah, I think it'll be great as it has been. I think Arsenal are deserving to be where they are at this moment in time, but they are going to be put under pressure from Pep, and because of he's been there before. Just before we go on to City and how they played, you mentioned all the set pieces and corners, and we're talking about time wasting and all of that. That's the biggest time wasting of the lot now, is from corners when referees have to go in and stop it beforehand. For me, I think if they were to clamp down and stay tough, and as soon as the referee blows his whistle, even before ball is kicked, the ball is in play there. So therefore, the referee can give a penalty for holding and grasping and what have you, because it is out of hand now. I mean, you see the fighting and scrapping and holding and pulling and everything else that goes on in the 6-yard box now, in and around the goalkeeper. It is just crazy, isn't it? Just crazy.
It really is. I would say, though, I mean, it's obviously very much a Premier League thing, this. I mean, I watch a lot of football from other countries, and you don't see that. Now, throw forward a few months to the World Cup. Will countries against England be able to cope with that, or will they clamp down on that sort of thing? But it's then generally the defending side of it that they'll have problems with. I think that could be. England win? That could win England the World Cup. If teams can't cope with it, and not many teams can, you never know.
Yeah, but you've got someone to have to head it as well. Arsenal have got Gabriel, an absolute monster who wins everything in the air. In terms of the delivery, I totally agree. Reece James and Declan Rice, but who's going to go edit for England like Gabriel does? Maybe Maguire, maybe?
Well, don't forget, England were really good at set pieces under Gareth Southgate, corners under Gareth, weren't they?
They were at the previous tournament, not the last tournament.
Because of Maguire going to head it, but I mean, he may be in the squad anyway, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not sure you would be able to get away with all that grappling and holding at international level.
Well, it's the defenders that generally do the grappling and holding, isn't it? Not the forwards. They're just trying to get free from people. They're just crowding the area and making it life very difficult for defenders. But, I don't know. I'm not sure too many international teams would be able to deal with that. One to watch, I would say.
But it's not good, though. All that holding and grappling and stopping and starting. And they're very clever because they know they can't give away a foul before the ball's in play. So everyone's it's ridiculous. It's like WWE. Yeah. I'm like, what are we watching here? Yeah. Come on. They've got to get a grip of that because it's just ruining the spectacle of the game.
I happen to agree. And it takes so long, doesn't it? It's like Alan said, it's like, well, come on, get on with the game. And they're introducing some new laws coming in, aren't there? More VAR laws for them to look at and plans to try and help time wasting. But
did you see Chelsea's goal? Declan Rice wasn't even looking at the ball. He was just
they just hold on to each other.
Grappling.
And could have been given handball the one before that they were complaining about Chelsea, weren't they? Because he was the one that was holding, wasn't he?
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fascinating, but we're not seeing much free-flowing football at present. I think City would probably be the exception at present, and obviously the new players have made a big difference, and you covered that on Match of the Day, Alan.
I thought after 20 or 25 minutes, when clearly Leeds were going to try and put them under as much pressure as possible and use that crowd to their advantage, as they did, and they had 2 or 3 really good chances, Leeds. But I thought the way City managed that and then played after that, I thought City were really impressive. I thought particularly defensively, Diaz and Guehi were brilliant. Cherki, I thought, had his best game. And, of course, Semenyo. I mean, the signings of those two in January have been instrumental in what they're doing now. Been huge for them.
Yeah. We talked the other day, it's all about systems and, tactics and stuff like that, Micah. And you were talking about, because we were actually doing this, we recorded another lump of episodes of Premier League Greats the moment that made them. We were talking about individual, I think it was Hazard we were talking about at the time. We were saying you don't really see that many players like that. I don't think we ever have, but Cherky's an individual, isn't he?
Mm.
You know, he's got a bit of swaz about his play, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has individual talent. He's brilliant, technically fantastic, can see a pass, can shoot. He's got it all, bow-footed, takes corners with 1 foot right foot, 1 foot left foot. And the pass that opened up the goal yesterday, I thought it was excellent. Yeah. Mamouche's his movement just to open up that gap and then overlap, and then Semenyo's in the box. But while we're on this, I think the wider point, guys, on this is back in the days, it was midfielders getting on the ball the most touches, wasn't it?
It's
so Yaya Torres, the Fabregases. Now, I know, guys, have you got a stat? Do you want to read out that stat now, H? Because while we're on there.
I've got it here, Micah. It's in 2014-15, so just over 10 years ago. This is the list of players who passed the ball the most in the Premier League. Fabregas, Yaya Toure, Cazorla, Matic and Hazard, 5 midfield players or forward midfield players in the sense of Hazard in particular. In 24-25, it's obviously last season, the top passers in the Premier League, Van Dijk, Colwill, Saliba, Vardiol and Ruben Dias. 16 of the top 20 passes in the Premier League was centre-back. Oh. 7 of the 10 this season are centre-backs as well. And that's, we do see that now. It's, the goalkeeper passes out to the centre half and he passes it and then he comes back and then they wait and they wait and the midfield players are not getting as much of the ball. I think that's very much a Premier League thing, but
probably one of the reasons why we've got a lack of centre forwards in England, or England centre forwards, because who wants to play centre forward now?
Yeah, but the game's changed tactically, hasn't it, Al? I mean, back in your day when I used to watch you 4-4-2, and it was you against the defender. You know when Makelele came in to protect the defence and sort of Mikel, and you had Vieira, but even the clips that we showed from Vieira, the pod that was doing, he was up and down. Yeah. And they've always had a defensive midfielder, but it was sort of individual battles.
But that was 20 years ago, though, Micah. This is 10 years ago. This is Fabregas, players like that. This is not lumping it up to a big centre forward.
You used to see Fabregas getting on the ball, in between the lines, come and getting it deep, controlling the tempo of the game. But what's happening now, teams are just going into a low block, even the best of teams. So centre halves are going side to side into it. And there was some Spurs fans talking about Van der Ven, and all he does is go side to side and all that. But teams are just now getting back in, and it's harder to play through the lines now because everyone's banking up, which now you're seeing defenders trying to dictate the game. And that's why I believe football has gone backwards for the spectacle and the entertainment of everything, because we're not seeing the likes of Hazards no more being able to just run because everyone's like robots in positioning. So in terms of the art of football and coaching, football's improved because everyone knows their jobs better. But in terms of that Maverick and Hazard, and the reason why you say that, because you mentioned Cherky, and when he had that pass and he went out wide and all that sort of things, he was getting frustrated in that number 10 role where he just couldn't get on the ball because Leeds 5-3-2, sometimes a 5-4-1, no space, and then he's had to create something from a wide area. And that's why, throwing it back to the title race, Arsenal are a fantastic team. And in terms of Champions League, I think they're the favourites because maybe the game can be won by just a goal. Let me just ask you before you go on to that, Micah. Do you think that also applies in Europe or just the Premier League? Because obviously you've got players like, Lamine Yamal and Mbappe, I would say, that take, the individuals that can take people on and score brilliant individual goals and stuff. I mean, is it just a Premier League thing? That I think is it everywhere? I think it's everywhere to a certain degree. So when we talk about teams who try to win the game, Man City and Barcelona, Bayern Munich try to win the game. All other teams, even now, if you watch Real Madrid, they go into a 4-4-2, and when they're on the ball, Mbappe and Vinicius are going out to the same positions, which I find it very difficult, and them two off the ball are not working, so they're going to the two. And you got the likes of Valverde, Gula, Camavinga, Tuamedi doing all the work in there. So tactically, because of the new manager Arbeloa, that is what they're doing. But if you watch Barcelona, Man City, Bayern with a Elise or a Shirky or a Haaland or whoever it may be, Yamal, they try to win the game. So that's when it leaves them exposed. So you look at Barca's high line, what they try to do tactically, win the ball back as soon as possible, but leaves them exposed at the back. And I think Man City are more equipped to win the Premier League because they can open up the doors. So going back to Alan's point before, you would rather have the points on the board now. And defensively, they sound. And you always say defense wins the championships. That's always been the way we've saw the game. But because football is changing and you're needing something special to open up a door, I think Man City have more players to do that, which makes them favourites to win. Well, not favourites, give them a better chance of winning the Premier League. But in the Champions League, I think Arsenal have a better chance because they're more robust, if that makes sense.
Do you think football is losing because of this, though? Do you think the fans watching the game, do you think it's as good to watch now? Probably not.
I don't think so. I think the standard of the Premier League is not as high as it used to be, certainly not this season. Now, whether the Club World Cup has got something to do with that as well as the other clubs around Europe.
Six of the last 16.
Yeah, but look at Newcastle. They're miles off in the Premier League last year. Tottenham are miles off it. Yep. Liverpool are miles off it. Arsenal, not perhaps, no. City, perhaps, or not. But the standards of the other clubs, Chelsea, Chelsea are so unpredictable. And I look at Real Madrid. I've seen Real Madrid 2 or 3 times this season live, done their game. They're nowhere near what they were in terms of standard. Barcelona were their high line. PSG, I went to watch PSG Newcastle in France, and they're miles off the standard that they set last year. So whether it has got something to do with the Club World Cup and players are just absolutely cooked, I don't know.
Well, they're playing all year round.
Certainly not as high standard football this year than what we saw last year from a lot of the clubs.
I think, just quickly on that, I think from a coaching point of view, guys, I think and a tactical point of view, the game's improved. But from a fan's point of view, I don't think it has. I think it's become quite robotic and too tactical. And the evidence is there when you mentioned about the Fabregas, Yaya Torres on the ball. Now we're seeing defenders on the ball. We don't want to see defenders on the ball or making the most passes in the game. We want to see the creative players. So that's the way football is going. And that's why people always give City a chance because of the way they play, and Barcelona and Bayern Munich.
Not only the football's gone robotic, the referees are robotic as well. When are we going to get on the VAR?
We'll do that in the second half, Alan.
My goodness.
We'll hold back just for now.
Okay.
But we'll do that in the second half. That was my plan. As I thought we'd do the title, the 2 teams fighting for the title. I think it's obviously a 2-horse race now. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to say is that Manchester City, without Erling Haaland, won 14 of their 18 Premier League games. Are Manchester City better?
I'll leave that to you, Big Meeks.
I'm finding it even hard to get it out of my mouth. It's
crazy, right? Because they played Newcastle in the cup, and I thought Mamouche was excellent. And we were sort of talking off air, and Jamie Carragher brought it on air. Of course he does. And I said I wouldn't be bothered because he was up against Van Dijk away at Anfield, and Van Dijk always gets the better of him, apart from this time when he scored, didn't he? He didn't have a kick all game, then he scored. But I was thinking, it'd be better to bring Haaland on when the game opens up a little bit, because Mamouche is quite explosive and he makes good runs and he'll work harder for the team just in a period where Liverpool are going to be dominant. So, no, they're not better without Haaland.
I tell you what, they're still bloody good with Mamouche and Semenyo. Goodness me.
However, they can still compete. And that's the point I was trying to make.
They could have some partnership at the back. Diaz and Gay, couldn't they? They could make a real... I mean, really I know, they're still not quite the City of a cup, and, they're bringing in new players and stuff, but they're starting to look... I know they're still slightly vulnerable. We saw that against Leeds, but they are defending considerably better than certainly last season.
Yeah, he's made a huge difference, Guéhi, hasn't he? I think, particularly second half, the way that both of those two had to defend, even when Leeds were going direct, and they had to go direct. But I thought those two were really, really solid, and it looks to be a really good partnership.
Yeah, it looks good. The only thing I would say, and you mentioned it, the vulnerabilities on the counter-attack. Their line is very high. It's not quite Barcelona yet, but they're trying to win the ball back. And on another day, Leeds could have took a few of those chances. Calvin Lewin being a yard faster, a better player. If they was up against Mbappe and Vinicius in the Champions League, who they've got next round, they take those chances.
Yeah,
so
Real Madrid City again.
I know, again.
Yeah, it's mad.
And that's the only thing I would say is the partnership is there. It's looking good. The clearances were excellent. The positionings were really good. It's just that bit where they decide, do they take half a yard step backwards just to give them a little bit more protection.
Well, that was the first bite delivered by Uber Eats. We'll have the second bite after the break. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. What's worse than missing a penalty? A brand without a solid website? Squarespace makes it easy for you and customers with new mobile pay links. Customers can pay for your products or services via text, email, social, or QR code, fast and hassle-free. Go to squarespace.com/football for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use code FOOTBALL, all uppercase, to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. Let's turn our attention to Manchester United. Another win. The unbeaten run of Michael Carrick continues, coming from behind it against Crystal Palace. There were slow starters in the game. I watched that one. I don't know which games you were watching, but I watched the United Palace game, and they were a bit sluggish for the first half an hour, and then after that they were much the better team.
I watched mostly the Spurs game. But I was lucky enough to see Šeško's header. Wow, what a header that was. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Great ball from Bruno.
It was, yeah.
Made him captain.
What do you think of the penalty and the red card?
I think the penalty probably did hold on to him into the box, so I get that. And he gave it on field, didn't he? But the red card, I thought it was a bit harsh because he's going away from goal. Now, has he denied a goal-scoring opportunity? Yes. But again, what does that mean? It's supposed to be a clear goal-scoring opportunity. It was a bit wide. It would have been a tough finish. But I didn't think they needed to turn it round. I think a penalty would have sufficed under that one.
Don't you think it was quite soft, though? I know in slow motion, it looked bad. But it was in real time. I was like, oh. He started outside, it continued in the box, but it was only a slight...
I don't think they'd have turned it over. I don't think they should have, if he hadn't have given it.
Yeah.
But it was a soft one, but I don't think they could have overturned, if he'd taken his hand off his arm before he went in the box. But, I mean, that's what they give penalties for these days. So.
Big win, though. Another one for Michael Carrick. Amazing. What a job he's doing. 23
points in 9 Premier League games as Manchester United manager. Over 2 spells, of course. Won 7, drawn 2. It's the best joint start after 9 games by any manager in the competition's history, alongside Ange Postecoglou. Remember him? 23 in his first 9. But yeah, they're looking way better.
I thought in the game, like you said, Gaz, it was quite sluggish. I didn't think they thought they could just turn up, but the passing was a little bit slow. But when Bruno Fernandes gets a grip of that game, and you talk about spaces and where he goes, he's so clever.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, but when he crosses, he goes sort of inside left channel. He doesn't try and go in the middle. He sees where everyone is, and then he always uses his fullback or his winger, and then they play back to him where he's got that time to cross. Like you mentioned the goal, but if you actually look at his positioning, and we're talking about people getting back into position in the defensive line, he's always scanning about where the best place is to be, where he can affect the game.
You see him on the right wing, you see him on the left wing, you see him, I mean, he's incredible. What a brain.
Yeah, but it sounds really simple. Well, of course, a player who's played a number 10 could go everywhere. But if you look at other people's performances when they trying to get on the ball, they're just trying to get on the ball in between the line. There's no space there. But Bruno just goes everywhere where he can get half a yard to put in a great delivery. And he's an outstanding player. One of the players of the season so far.
I think he's the player of the season for me. I mean, I know they'll probably give it to someone that's going to win something. I mean, I think for me, it's him or probably Declan Rice if Arsenal go on and manage to clinch the title. I suppose the only other one that if he came back and started banging in all the goals and won City the title, it might be Haaland again. But at the moment for me, to do what he's done this season, and he was still standout player even when they were going through a rotten spell, when they were really struggling under Amorim. So I think he's got such a great footballing brain and technique. What a player.
Yeah. Brilliant. Outstanding. Absolutely.
Another player we have to applaud before we move on, guys, is the goalkeeper, Lamond.
Yes.
You know when the talk is not about the goalkeeper, you know the goalkeeper is doing a good job. He rarely makes mistakes. He keeps everything simple. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Lamons or Lemons or Lamos?
Le Mans.
Let's call him Lamos.
Yeah, Le Mans. That's a car race, isn't it? Le Mans.
But he spelled Lamens.
Yeah, and he can play for 24 hours.
Oh, goodness me.
This is what we've resulted to.
This is it. That's it. Sorry, lads. Sorry. Apologies. But no, I think he's been really, really impressive. He's got a calmness about him as well.
Calm. Exactly that, guys. He's calm.
Takes me to another goalkeeper, actually, Jordan Pickford, right? Who's not necessarily got a calmness about him, but he's got a brilliance about him. And I think whenever we have discussions about the best goalkeepers in world football, he doesn't tend to crop up. And I think he should. I don't know whether that's because he's at Everton and they're mid-table and we don't see them playing in the Champions League, etc. But he hardly ever makes a mistake these days. And he pulls off incredible saves. He really does. I mean, that one against your mob, Al. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's the best save you'll see for a long time. That is. That was. I was at the other end of the room when he hit it. Tonali. I mean, but it was. Yeah, that was a world class save. It was unbelievable.
Does he get the credit he deserves? I don't know. I always think there was always like, I'm not sure about his temperament and this sort of thing. I don't see that.
He's never done anything wrong for England,
No,
has
he's been brilliant in the big games. Brilliant for England. Yes, he's got a big personality and he's kind of gets a bit agitated at times. But I played with Pete Shilton for years. No one got more agitated at his defenders than he did. I loved his kind of celebration of that save, though. And I think he definitely went, Vamos! If you look, I think he definitely did. Which
you can imagine him, though, can't you? Because of the reaction from the crowd is always obviously anti because of his Sunderland connection and where he's from and all that. Of
course,
It's so he was at the Gallagher end yesterday, and to make that save late on, I get that. I understand that. It's you get it from the crowd, and you're more than entitled when you do something good to give a little bit back. I totally understand that. As much as it hurt me.
Absolutely. He tops the points for goalkeepers on fantasy football pretty much every year, Micah.
He's a class act, isn't he? However, if he did say Vamos, the game's gone.
A lad from the northeast saying Vamos. It just shows you how it creeps into the game, these things, doesn't it?
Come on.
I'm sure he did,
Vamos.
you know. But I pretty. It looked very clearly.
It did look like he said that, didn't it?
Vamos. And they, you hear it so often, it would surprise me. Oh, brilliant.
How good is David Moyes, by the way? What a job he's doing at Everton. Their away form is superb.
Yeah.
Won 5 of the last 6, I think it is, away from home.
No side has won more Premier League games on the road than the Toffees since he first came back.
Brilliant. The way he sets them up, I guess they found it tough at home, but certainly away from home because they look as if they enjoy defending. You know, you're on about the tactical and everything else, Micah. They look as if Everton, they really enjoy that side of it. They really enjoy defending, sitting deep and hitting teams on the break, and David Moyes is a brilliant coach at doing that. He's superb.
You had a bit to say on Woltemade on Match of the Day, Alan. You know, you've been a bit obviously disappointed because he had a reasonable start, didn't he? And then it's kind of petered out a bit.
I feel as if just because of his price tag, because he's a centre forward, he is going to get a lot of the attraction.
Yeah.
He is going to get a lot talked about him. I mean, there are other players who have been really poor in the league for Newcastle. I mean, Dan Burn hasn't been great. Nick Pope hasn't been great. Made another error yesterday. Gordon hasn't been great in the league. Champions League been superb. Harvey Barnes has dropped off a little bit. But whether you like it or not, centre forward, 70 million or 69 million, whatever it is, he hasn't done enough. And I guess he is a conundrum for Eddie because in forward positions, he hasn't got in the box enough. Hence the reason he's played Gordon. He struggled with the physicality and the pace of the Premier League, which, okay, you're new to it. That might take time to adjust, which is why Eddie's put him into midfield. But no touches in the box for the last 2 games. Not enough touches, not enough being involved. But he's not the only one.
Football's funny, isn't it? Because they couldn't get away results, and now they've had a few decent away results, and they can't win at home.
They can't get through a low block. They can't get through teams that sit. That's the problem.
A lot of teams struggle with that. That they've lost 3 consecutive Premier League home games for the first time since 2020. Well, February 2021 under Steve Bruce. So they need to sort that out.
They do. And their league position obviously clearly is not good enough. They are in the Champions League against Barcelona, and they still are in the FA Cup, and they did get to a semi-final. But the league is the bread and butter, and they've been miles off what they were or what they have been in previous years.
Fascinating game at Anfield, Micah.
It was a strange game though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, because West Ham actually did really well. Had a lot of chance. I think they had higher XG. Did I just say XG? Oh,
you just said XG.
I'd sooner say Vamos.
I just said low block as well a minute ago. Micah's getting into us, guys. He's getting the better of us.
I know. We're being indoctrinated.
Next, you'll be saying pre-activation or whatever it is.
Oh, blimey, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance from Liverpool in areas. I mean, but I thought West Ham also did well. They're good on a counter-attack. Bowen's still good. Somerville's doing what he needs to do. But they've got to somehow stop conceding the amount of goals that they're conceding. For all the hard work and all what they're creating, they need to do better defensively. I don't know if it's organisation. I don't know if that's taking too many risks.
3 set pieces as well, Micah, I think it was, yeah.
Correct, yeah, set pieces.
It's another game with loads of set pieces. All teams are struggling to cope defensively from set pieces. I mean, the interesting one is Liverpool. You know, they were bottom 3 for goals from set pieces in the first half of the season. They sacked their set piece coach, brought someone else in, I think, and now they rank first since the turn of the year.
What a turnaround. Penny for the thought to the guy they sacked.
I know, bless him.
Yeah.
You did that game yesterday. He was doing the stats and stuff on West Ham. You think they can get out of it, West Ham?
I think in terms of, that's what you've nailed it, what they have to do. I mean, unless they stop conceding crazy goals, then no. But in general play, I thought they did all right. I thought there was plenty of positives, getting into really good positions, scoring a couple of goals. But defensively, they just look really, really weak. And unless that improves, then they're not going to get out of it, no. And I think I also look at their fixture list and they've got the toughest, I think.
No, they've probably got the toughest running. I think probably them or Forest. Could Spurs be dragged into it? I mean,
yes.
Gee whiz, lost again today.
Terrible. I mean, Fulham should have been out of sight. A little bit better Spurs when they got the goal in Richarlison, but Fulham should have been out of sight. They let them off the hook. They missed so many chances, but Tottenham are all over the place defensively as well and lacking a real threat up top. Yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't surprise me at all if Spurs went.
We had a fun day on with VAR yesterday. This is the time has come, Alan. Yeah, the main issues were around the Burnley-Brentford game. I mean, it was an extraordinary game in terms of, I mean, Brentford going 3-up and you thought, oh, blimey, Tony, obviously my business partner, went all the way up as he always does, and he goes to loads of away games. He watches every match, and he was 3-0 down, and we were thinking, oh, Tony, what are you doing? Why are you going up there? Then they came back 3-3, and then there were a couple of decisions that went against Burnley, and then in the end, Brentford nicked it. So Tony, as he was there, and he was, let's say, quite outraged, he's calmed down a little bit, and we got him to make a video of his thoughts. Here they are, chaps.
Hello, Alan. Hello, Micah. Hello, Gary. Tony Pastor here. I was at Turf Moor yesterday, where I've been going since 1979 when my dad first took me. I still go with my dad and my 3 sons, who were all born in the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, but nevertheless are still Burnley supporters. So yesterday I was at that game, dramatic game. We were 3-0 down after 36 minutes, having played truly terribly. And make no mistake, I know we are going to be relegated this season. However, we fall back to 3-3, and we were terrific for a spell in the second half and actually scored what we believe to be the 4th goal. Now, I've seen it back, and if people believe that that is what the offside rule is for, then they are deluded about what our game is. It should have been one of the truly great games yesterday, and instead, the referee and his colleagues at Stockley Park in West London have ruined it. Now, yes, I'm biased. I'm a fan of the home team, but I've been saying I do not want VAR from the very start. I don't want it when it goes for us. I don't want it when it goes against us. It ruins games. Now, let me just tell you one thing, boys, because I've been working in television sport for a long time. Each second of moving images is made up of 25 individual frames. That's like a photograph, and you put 25 of them together and you end up with moving pictures. If you stop play on the video image, one frame rather than the next, and the 2 players are running in opposite directions, the difference is a meter. They change position by a meter. So somebody in Stockley Park picks a frame to decide if a player is offside on, and that is the determinant of it. That is a wild, inconclusive way of deciding if someone's offside. I understand we have to have some way of doing it, but the idea that somebody's shoulder has just poked 2 centimetres beyond the defender and that makes them offside, that's not what it's for. VAR, Alan Shearer, is anti-goal, and you should know that as much as anyone. So, look, the 2 incidents yesterday, 2 goals that we were denied yesterday, took 4 minutes and 6 minutes to resolve. Clear and obvious. If it takes 4 minutes and 6 minutes, it's not clear and obvious. I still don't know if Ashley Barnes handled the ball, and I've seen it back on all the replays available. So what are we doing? The soul of our game is at stake here, guys. Please, can we just get rid of VAR? We'll actually enjoy our season next year in the Championship because it simply is not used.
There you go. There's Tony. He's worked in television for 25 years, all sorts of programmes for years, and he can't even frame himself. He's cut the top of his own fucking head off. I mean,
he's talking about frames, about the camera getting himself in frame.
He can't get himself in frame.
He pressed the button at the wrong time, for goodness sake, Tony.
I think on the science of how correct these things can be, I think he's absolutely spot on. Yeah. And it is an issue. I mean, he's asking us to get rid of VAR. We can't. We haven't got that power, sadly. We've tried our best, I think, to change it dramatically, but alas, I think we've got the referees running our game and deciding the rules as well.
I totally get, and I'm with him on all of those points made. He's absolutely spot on with all of those points, because that was not what VAR was brought in to do. However, on his first point with the offside, it doesn't sit easy with me when I see a centimetre or 2 that of someone's shoulder. Now, and he did say, well, someone has to be offside at some point. And I think you're always going to get this argument as where and how someone stops it, where the line's drawn, etc. So whether he's 2 centimetres or 20 centimetres off, somewhere someone has to be offside. So I on that point, I get it, but it's hard to argue against. On this other point, I'm absolutely raging that for me, that is given as handball, because the referee gave it on field. So that has to be a guaranteed huge error. Absolutely. Or clear handball. Yet it can't be, because we had all the angles, we slowed all the angles down, and I sat in a room with 5 guys yesterday and I asked every single one at the same time, right, you guys tell me whoever thinks that is a definite 100% handball. And there was 1 person out of 5 said, yeah, I think that is definitely handball. Yet 4 of us, with all the images that we saw, couldn't agree that it was 100% handball. Probably it was, but none of us, or 4 of us, said absolutely. And it took 5 minutes, not 6 minutes. It was 5 minutes and 3 minutes of decisions, not 4 minutes and 6, as Tony said. Having said that, still, it cannot If they're looking at something for 5 minutes, what the hell are they waiting for? So I'm with him absolutely on that point, and I get his anger on the other point, and I'm as angry as he is because I go back to my original point. Years ago, they told us maximum benefit, minimum interference. We're not going to re-referee. Yeah. IFAB are all in Cardiff yesterday, and there's going to be more VAR.
I know. They're bringing in more and more. They're going to bring it in for corners. Yellow cards leading to a red card. They're bringing it in for that. The game will get slower and slower. And then they go on about changing laws to stop time wasting. What's the biggest time waster in football? VAR.
Sure. Yeah.
It makes no sense. But I totally get the frustrations. I mean, it's just, and again, they've got to go back to an appeal system. If they do that, and then it'll be much better. But they're not. They're doubling down with it and bringing in more and more.
It just feels wrong. It's just not right. If you go right throughout the country, perhaps the world, if you ask the fans, and it's the fans' game, ask the fans what they want. Yet Kalina and Ellery keep coming up with more and more laws that are just, it's like some of it is just ridiculous.
However, if it was to go, say VAR gets abolished, say next week or by next season, there's still going to be complaints, isn't there, if the referee makes a decision wrong? Yeah,
but there's not going to be 5 or 7 minutes delays as well. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
If it was immediate, then it wouldn't be an issue. But it's not. It takes forever. And they still sometimes get it wrong.
Is there a way for them to sharpen it up, though? Because it's, some things are getting long. For Burnley fans, just it was so harsh.
I've told you the way to sharpen it up is by not making them ever present for every corner and stuff. So I'm sorry, I'm boring myself, but an appeal system, you get 1 appeal a half or 2 if you want, whatever you want to do, and they have to decide on it. So the players, they're not going to do it for whether it's gone for a corner or not. They're going to do it if there's a goal. But you've got to name what it is. You've got to say so-and-so pulled so-and-so, he handballed it, whatever it is, you name it. They look at it and then they decide. So they're not intervening all the time. You know what it's like now. You have to stop for the play at the corner because they're having a look at something. You think, well, what? They're just looking for anything. Trying to find anything. It's madness. It'll come, and it will improve. It still won't be perfect, but it'll be way better.
Do the players need to help with this, though? Because if you watch football now, every time someone goes out for a corner or a throw-in goes the wrong way, or they should...
Yeah, of course. They're asking for VAR.
All the players, what did you say? I thought players can't surround the referee. Everyone's going up to the referee, and he's putting doubt in his mind, and then every single time now, when a decision... Everyone's going like this, VAR. So then the referee can't do his job also because he's got so much pressure.
I think what they'll do, they'll bring in a law where referees can go and watch and see the VAR decision to see if a player's done a VAR sign and they can get a yellow card for doing a VAR sign.
Do you know, in 10 years, we might not even have officials. That's the way it's going.
That's it, when AI. All the players will be robots, everything.
I mean, at the minute, what's the point of having assistant referees or linesmen?
None really.
We could have an AI podcast. We could have our feet up, get someone to just do AI, and we just do the show for us.
All the intelligence on this is artificial, that's for sure.
Oh, goodness me.
Just before we go, either of you watched the Old Firm game?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I was sleeping.
Oh, my word. It was a cracker, wasn't it? It was end-to-end stuff. What did you think of the VAR one on that one? I actually thought it was handball. Al, I know you didn't, because I only say that because he's under the rules. Again, I'll go back to I don't like the handball, but I think it stopped it going in the net. I think without that handball, it would have gone in the net.
What about the penalty, though? He had 3 stabs at it, didn't he?
3 goes.
Keeper saved it twice. It was like, goodness me. I can imagine, you can hear the atmosphere because I've been to Rangers, I've been to Celtic in those games. And I mean, you can imagine how tense it was in the stadium, can't you?
Great result for Hearts, I would suggest. It's looking good for them, looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. With their win the day before. So, yeah, looking good for Hearts, yeah.
Bit of history in the making.
Micah, just one other thing. What about Villa? You watched Villa on Friday evening?
Oh, good show, actually, Al. Yeah, they looked a bit leggy. They looked a bit, I don't even know if we can say leggy anymore. Let's say they looked a bit tired.
Dangly leggy, Micah.
Let's not go back into that. I feel there was huffing and puffing, weren't they? But couldn't really create a great deal. And then Wolves just capitalised. You got to give credit to Wolves because I told you, Al, honestly, I've watched Wolves a lot this season. For some reason, when we do Match of the Day or the on TV, and they've been in a lot of games. And what did you say? They can't score and they can't defend. Now they're actually defending a little bit better and scoring at the other end. So you've got to give it a little bit of credit. But for Villa, it just looked like they run out of steam.
The way they're looking, obviously they're in European football as well. I mean, they've slipped a bit of late. They're now 6 points above 6, because I think we can take it for granted that there'll be 5 English teams in the Champions League from the league next season. And they are currently 3 points clear of Liverpool, 6 points from Chelsea. So I think we sometimes underestimate what European football takes out of you.
Yeah, I guess, and it's the mentality side of it when you're going up against some brilliant teams and you're travelling here, there and everywhere and you're getting the results, and then you come back to the Premier League and you might not feel the spark that you perhaps get in Europe.
Even Palace today, I saw second half faded.
They do look very, very heavy-legged, Villa. But I've always said, if they get Champions League football in 5th position, I still feel that will be a great achievement for Aston Villa.
Absolutely agree. And on that note, let's call it a day. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week, everyone.